I call it reality rap. Just not creating a fake character, just rapping about what I did on a daily basis in reality. Now, coming from my background, that background had gangster elements in it, guns, drugs, things of that nature. And the term gangster rap came when Cube said we're from a gang called Niggas with Attitudes. And that's when the press coined it gangster rap. I think gangster rap, if you really want to figure out what it means, it's anytime you refer to guns, drugs, the police, maybe breaking the law, or basically having an apolitical outlook, like it's my way and this is just how I see it. Why these particular artists tend to have good careers is back to what originally was called reality. I think it's because these artists seem to be more honest. They're telling the truth. They're saying unabashed how they feel about things, and people gravitate toward that. Now, especially in the hood or the ghetto communities, people admire strength over wealth. It's just, if you're strong, if you're willing to break the rules, if you're willing to say fuck them, then people dig that. So of course the gangster is the epitome of that. That's the person who says, hey, I'm gonna do it my way regardless. So there's a lot of admiration that goes along with that, even though whether it be negative image you're portraying or a positive image. Some rappers, you really couldn't tell what they stood for because they would sing about just abstract things. So it's hard to connect to them. You say, I like your music, but I don't really know who you are. I think with somebody like myself or a Pac or a Scarface, you kind of at least get that feeling like, I know who you are. And I think that's what allows people to connect to us and give us a little more longevity.
So with the reality rap or street rap or hardcore rap, whatever it was called before gangster rap, once it became labeled by the media gangster rap, what impact do you think that had on the genre?
For dabble, didn't even smoke weed. Weed was never my thing. I was just drinking. I don't get introduced to drugs until I start to see the writing on the wall, and House of Pain is starting to come back down to earth, and there's a little friction in the band, and records, we're not going on money tours anymore, and I'm spending it faster than I was making it, and I'm like, uh-oh. And drinking wasn't gonna fix that. And so I start to incorporate this nice little pill that's ecstasy. I'm like, this is great, I feel so good, and know, but I can't do that habitually.
Yeah.
I can't do that every day. So I graduated to cocaine, and then cocaine is like blowing up a balloon and letting it go. I just didn't know if I was gonna be happy, crying on the floor, digging through the whatever, carpet looking. So I was like, this is terrible. And then one night, someone offered me what we were talking about earlier about Willie Nelson calls speed roadie coke.
Okay.
It's like, I don't do roadie coke, roadie coke, and it was methamphetamines. And in the 90s, that was prevalent in Los Angeles. And I thought, shit, what do I got to lose? I'm already, I'm already just going through it. I would have done anything not to feel the way I was feeling. And so I tried meth, and for the first time, I feel like I did when I had that first drink, that you're just like, why did I wait so long to do this? This is the drug for me.
Were the other guys in House of Pain doing that too, or is it?
Never.
Really?
Never. No. We never did drugs as a band. I started to dabble at the end of House of Pain. I was also in an outlaw motorcycle club at the time, so methamphetamines was also prevalent in that situation, which I won't talk about on this because it just get me in some, hot water. But and maybe Eric was hearing whispers, and I even went to rehab through House of Pain at the end because of, my coke use. I just found it and overnight just went and dove in head first. And it took years to come out of that. So again, if you would have talked to me, even in my bad years of like selling and being a criminal and all that crazy stuff that I was doing, never did I do drugs. So that was the one good thing someone could say about me, But
Yeah,
nothing was left
man.
off the table by the time the 90s were over. I had pretty much done every check of something that you shouldn't do as a human.
But the drinking kind of escalated. Was that what?
Yeah, I mean,
worse?
and meth made my drinking, I could drink with impunity. I could just constantly drink and constantly stay up. For me, I felt like I was making up for lost time. You also understand that as House of Pain breaks up, Everlast goes on and sells 1 million records, gets a Grammy.
DJ
Lethal goes to
yeah.
Limp Bizkit, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Obviously, I'm garbage. And it's a trap in any vanity business where you start to go, if I am the record or I am the entity, and if the entity is not selling, then I'm shit, and that's not the truth. But it took me 20 years to figure out that like what I did for a living or what I do for a living, it doesn't have nothing to do with who I am as a person.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I didn't have that information prior, and
You didn't have like a mentor, somebody helping you.
No, I mean, I told you, like, Scarface, the movie, that was my, like, that was like the blueprint, or a lot of rap records, a lot of tough guy rah-rah shit is all,
So how did you, like, so when all this is going, where did you hit rock bottom, man? Like, when did you?
In the late 90s, I mean, just doing meth around the clock, starting to get arrested, starting getting little cases in LA for, just getting in trouble. And I get sober around 2000, clean up. Within year one, I get a solo record deal. I'm working for The Firm, which was the management company that managed Korn and Limp Bizkit and
nice.
Deftones, I think, at one point as well. I'm working for their sneakers because they acquired Pony, the sneaker brand, and I knew everything about sneakers at the time. They gave me $500,000 for a group I had called X Supermodels. I probably spent most of that money on sneakers at the time for my
But
collection.
still,
was
things are
popping.
going good though, man.
In my first year of sobriety. This is year one of sobriety.
Didn't you do a solo album too?
That was it, the X Supermodel one.
Yeah,
but it got
okay.
shelved because their label folded.
Will that ever come out? By the way, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Listen, it's your show.
No, man, I don't want to interrupt you.
It will come out as a non-fungible token, I think, when we were talking earlier.
Oh,
I'm gonna put it on
yes.
there. It's never been released.
Some rich kid
And I own that.
overseas.
Hey, let him rock. So what I'm saying is, I get sober for 3 years. It goes really well at first. I get all kinds of money, and I get the things back, and I think, oh, this is what sobriety is. I get clean, and then all of a sudden I get my outside stuff back. But I stopped doing the work, and it's an inside job, and that's what was wrong, and that's what's wrong with most addicts and alcoholics.
You stopped going to meetings and stuff?
Stop going to meetings, stop being of service, stop being of any use to anybody except for myself. I was back to the fear, the insecurity. I'm an egomaniac with low self-esteem. You know what I mean? And I think that the watch, the girl, the record, the clothes, the car fixes that. It does not. It might fix other people. It doesn't fix me. I've tried it to almost.
And you were dating somebody, right? That would. I remember hearing a podcast. Were you with someone at the time, or
multiple
people?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You got to be a little bit more clear. I'm like, well, I'm looking at my cards like, which one? Tell me what the card looks like.
How about we go? Anyway, so next,
I think what you're probably referring to, and this is, I'm laughing, so I'm going to bring it down. But I was dating Savannah, the porn star, when she killed herself right before I got sober. Yeah,
really? Okay.
During House of Pain. So, but this is Hollywood in a nutshell. I mean, there was just like Soleil on one side. I have pictures of Soleil and Savannah. Shannon is her name, and as a person, she was a completely normal and wonderful woman, but what she did for profession, which was like cool at the time, but I look back like, what an awful profession to have, and nobody likes. I can't imagine that's it's a damaging, it's a soul crushing business.
Never settle for ordinary. Not when outstanding is with
Proof of Concept. I'm like at the time #1 Beastie fan at that time, and then. By the time it came, for most kids were finishing high school and thinking about careers or going to college, I had dropped out at 9th grade, bro. They pushed me forward to 10th. I hung out, joined a gang, started going out every night to nightclubs. There were teen nightclubs at 16 you could get in, and being tall, they didn't care, Right. So I was out all hours, all night, drinking around the clock, and decided, you know what? My mom's on my back. I know she's throwing me out when I'm 18. So I started a band, and I was like, I ain't gonna do this. I'm gonna do music. And it was really more of a goof. I knew Everlast from high school. We were, around the same areas. He was another dude who was a
DJ Lethal as well, or did you meet him later?
No, that was later.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Eric's DJ before me and him I put House of Pain together with him. But at the time, he had just got signed to Ice-T's record label. He was all about 17 or 18, which was, again, another, wow. Like, when you're in high school and Ice-T is like, you're in Rhyme Syndicate and you get a record deal.
That was almost like punk rap at the time, if I remember, wasn't it?
Eric stuff? No.
No? Okay.
Eric, not at all. Eric, listen, he rhymed at the highest level even back then. And so I saw his talent. I was like, this guy's great. And this gets to how House of Pain comes about.
Okay.
But his record comes out, it comes and it goes. There's really no noise made about it. And at least, it just didn't. And he got dropped and he moved on. Now, at the time, I was doing a lot of credit card theft. I'll give you just we had the ability, I knew somebody who had the ability to reprogram stolen information on the back of the cards. So we would get sets of those and IDs to match, and we would go out and shop. And I was doing a lot of that. And everybody knew me for that, and a few other people that I ran with. And I ran into Everlast, and I put him onto that. He was getting kicked out of his house. I let him stay with me and my cousin. We gave him a set of cards. We hooked him up with some gear. And what I realized with Everlast was like, look, bro, you're an incredible talent, writer, MC, etc. But you have no idea about all the rest of it. And there's a 360 that makes the whole, thing right. And he was lacking like. He was just good at the writing and the rapping part, you know what I mean? Straight up and down. But I had a gang and I had a bunch of dudes. I was a leader of men and had a lot of dudes that were like, Danny Boy this, Danny Boy that, was in my circle. We were getting money. We were out there wilding out. Yeah. So I was like, similar to Suicidal Tendencies, how like a gang supports like the band and then the band becomes this big phenomenon. Like House of Pain was really like the Mickey Mouse Club, which was our punk rock gang, which is a whole other story. Like I said, it'll take hours to unpack all this, but everybody who knows. You can Google it. It comes up. There was this thing in Rolling Stone magazine in 1986 about Valley suburban gangs, and Boy George is on the cover, and it's a 6-page expose, and it talks about it all.
Yeah.
It was actually turned into a movie called Lost Angels, where Ad Rock got his first starring role.
Oh, I know that movie. Yeah.
Us and FFF and a few other gangs from the Valley. It's a crazy story. So we surrounded Everlast. We put him in. We made a group around that, and at the time, like I said, and I'll wrap this up, is I loved hip hop so much, but all of a sudden I felt like with the 5%er stuff that was going on, which is this prison it's a sect of Islam that is 5%ers, and it's like a prison sect more than it is anything else. Okay. And Farrakhan's a prophet, and I think you ought to listen to what he could say to you, what you ought to do. That's Public Enemy, one of my favorite groups. So I listened to Farrakhan, and Farrakhan said white people are the devil. So I'm like, I'm white, I'm not the devil. Why am I being called the devil? So I remember being like upset about hearing like, so now I'm not welcome? Like I got my back at the wall at the spots. I'm fighting for my place at the table in hip hop, even just to be a fan. And now my favorite bands are telling me that like, I'm a devil, I'm the white devil. I'm like, whoa. So I was like, I went home one night, I'm like, what am I? To my mother. My mother's like, your side of the family's Irish, She's part Irish, Dutch, and French, but my father's family come right off the boat. I mean, they're literally from County Cork. And so
right to Ellis Island.
I'm like, I'm Irish, and that's what so all of a sudden I use that as my like, I'm not white, but I'm white. I'm always white, but I'm saying I'm Irish white, whatever that means. We came over here because we were persecuted. We were Irish Catholics who came over here 50 years ago.
You're the least respected person at one point in this country. That's
so
how
it's
my
like,
relatives
so
were,
I'm like,
realistically,
I'm like, that's me. And if you don't like it, fuck you.
Yeah.
Suck it. So my whole shit my energy was that. And then I started to, like all of my other dudes in my spot were like the same kind of energy. Even if they were black or Mexican, they were like, we were a ragtag bunch of dudes from the Valley. And in order to go to punk gigs back then or hip hop gigs, which were like, it sounds like nothing, but back then they were cutty. And you could get lumped up if you just went in there, you and your boy. Yeah. You really had to be, because you were catching it from Mexican gangs, you were catching it from black gangs, you were catching it from, and we're just suburban white dudes. So we stuck together like glue, and we had it. And people started to talk like, these motherfuckers, Sorry to keep cursing, but
no, you're fine.
But that's what they were talking about. Like, these motherfuckers are live ones, and so people start to be like, all right, they're good, let them go. You know what I mean? Let that, don't fuck with them. There's easier victims out there, and so. That really is the genesis of House of Pain. But it really came down, it was a reaction on my part to be like, look, I don't know why the culture is mad at me other than I get the injustices of the world and, but I'm like, I'm just a fucking kid from New York who's loved hip hop from day one, who's been involved in it at some level, even as just a peripheral fan. And now I'm the devil? Like, what? And so I was like, fuck that. I'm Irish. I'm white. This is House of Pain. And so I felt like we should be unapologetic. And I said, Everlast, if you want to keep like, let's do this. And then he understood at that point, and it was a turning point in like 91 where he was like, yo, this is that. And so he hooked up with Muggs, who he knew from 7A3, who had just finished the Cypress record, and the Cypress record had just come out. And at first, it wasn't a massive smash.
That was the self-titled one, right?
Self-titled one of the best records in hip hop of all time.
Agreed.
That's because I was close to that crew. That's arguably from top to bottom a fucking masterpiece.
Yes.
And then Muggs did 3 songs with Eric and Be Real, and it was jump around, put your head out, and come and get some of this. And we sent out the demos, and ironically, we got signed to Tommy Boy. We had offers from other people, but we got signed to Tommy Boy. Monica Lynch, a Chicago native who ran, she was the vice president of Tommy Boy, and she said, man, I've a million CDs and tapes I get every day, demos. Yeah. I looked in and seen this Irish logo, and I saw your photos. I thought you guys could have been my brothers or my little cousins. I said, who are these guys? I can't believe, she just off aesthetics, she played it and was like, whoa, oh, fuck. Like she heard Jump Around, she's like, oh, fuck. Now, all that to say, I'm a graphic artist and a marketing guy before I'm anything else.
Okay.
I worked at a record store at that time. I was the product manager at the Warehouse, the chain, the record chain, the Warehouse. I don't know if they were on the East Coast. I think it was primarily a West Coast thing. But Warehouse was like Music Plus or Tower Records.
We had Sam Goody and those
and
ones.
The Peaches and all, whatever. Yeah. So we had that, and I was able to, at a young age, at 17, 18, I stole more than we sold, bro. Like I was able to open every record and play it. This is before, like I said, these kids now, they don't get it because this is pre-internet. You just can't go on YouTube and listen to every song you want for free.
No, I was breaking cases. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I stole your album.
Hey, listen, high five. I would have stole it too. I would have stole a handful and gave them to the boys and be like, check this out.
Right.
Bro, it's all good. And that's what we did. So it was like my music and movie IQ went through the roof working at that record shop. But also, and I'll never forget this, and my buddy Ill Bill, shout out to Ill Bill from La Coca, he laughs, because he's a diehard metal fan that turned MC, and I was like a diehard B-boy who also was in a punk gang and listened to a little bit of like way alternative stuff. But I remember taking off the shelf a Celtic Frost record, thinking this is an Irish band, and it has nothing to do with Irish and Ireland. It's just a hardcore. They're probably like from Sweden or Denmark or something, but bro, it was at a time where like the only way you're gonna hear what this is about is to take it off, take it in the back, open it, play it, and then throw it in the returns thing and go, what? I don't know who opened that, where did that came from?
Right.
But I was able to listen to anything that my heart ever wanted to listen to, and then some. And I always credit them. Shout out to Warehouse, it's long gone. I still know, I think her name is Viola Brown, who was the main GM for the whole corporation. Right. She ended up becoming an A&R and working with a lot of hip-hop groups at the time. She was, but that is how House of Pain came about.
It's incredible.
We were all struggling. We were all, Lethal came with the package. Shout out to DJ Lethal, one of the greatest humans you'll ever meet. And, we went off and the demo, we got signed and we dropped that record and it blew up. And
number 3 was Jump Around in the U.S. and number 6 in the U.K.
Pretty good.
I'd say it's amazing.
Especially for, guys who, I'll speak for myself, but bro, even at a young age, it was like jails, institution, or death. Those were the things that were like looking like directly, like I was doing. I was constantly preparing myself for a prison cell because my father had been that way prior to that. Right. My mother would always say, you're going to be just like him, be dead or in prison by the time you're 21. And the stuff I was doing was the stuff that would get you there. So I looked at it like, and that was part of the gang life too. A lot of these kids were coming out of, I did some little juvenile hall skid bids and whatnot, but a lot of the kids that I was running with were coming out of boys' homes, and they were coming out of CYA, the California Youth Authority, and they were coming out of juvenile halls. They were the tougher kids. They were white kids who dressed like cholos and listened to hip hop and punk rock, and that's what we were, and that's what our gang was. And we were white kids that you would mistake if you were a cop and didn't know better for Mexican kids,
right,
who listened to hip hop and punk rock, and with a little bit of new wave.
Oh, I like it. Let me get this ad read out of the way real quick.
Days gonna keep going by. So you let days go by and look up and you done wasted a year doing what? Well, you just pick it up, figure it out, made some mistakes, and life goes on. You figure out life from this point.
Are you ready to step up or get stepped on? I don't go for the setup as I rap this song when my clothes got wet up. As time goes on, so I'm always prepped up and ready for it all. Anybody got a beef? It only takes one call. Got the people on creep, they will make you fall. from the hall. See my name on the wall, still amongst the greatest. Put your money on me and your bet the safest. When you're caught up in the web, son, you can't escape it. You don't understand, run it back and play. So that you comprehend, I'll never make amends. You ever try to test me, I'll do it again. I'm a creature of habit, the habit is to win. I'll tear you apart, cause you paid for thin.
Back in the day, the shit wasn't quite right. It was the music that got me by. Music touched my soul. Music from the ghetto. Ain't nobody else out here in my life. Turn up the beat and let me write my rhymes. Once again, it's on. Another type rap song. Like back in the day.
Dip, diver, spit your saliva, drink my face numb and smack my Uber driver. Cold getting dumb and dumber all summer. Dump on all comers and trunk your front runner. South California, boy tried to warn you. Running up on you like Prefontaine. Thanks on my feet, divine style on the beat. Boy, I still eat off the house of pain, so just sit down, shut the fuck up. You're looking for a problem, boy, you lucked up. If you're wearing truck jewels, better tuck up. Cause I know a lot of fools will get you stuck up. Don't try to blame me when the Jamie's talking. Boy, you kinda bore me till you started walking. Before I start pulling out blades and shillelaghs. Puffing on bomb lights, sipping on Baileys. Who's next?
It wasn't quite right. It was the music that got me by. Music touched my soul. Music from the ghetto. Ain't nobody else out here in my life. Turn up the beat and let me write my rhymes. Once again, it's on. Another type rap song. Like back
I
in
go
the day.
hard trying
Guest is again one of the people that we spoke about having a guest on this show when we first started this show. The word, a phrase OG, I think it's tossed around willy-nilly and tossed around too much these days. You know what I'm saying? We give people that OG classification too quickly. But this man that we have on the show today is a certified West Coast OG, a certified music OG, a certified hip hop OG. This man has been holding it down, particularly for people. He's been holding it down for hip hop. He's created one of the greatest, not just one of the greatest rap songs of all time, but one of the greatest songs of all time. From records like Top of the Morning to You, What's It Like, Whitey's Revenge when he had his solo career, working with legends like Ice-T, Be Real, all the way to Carlos Santana, starting groups like La Coca Nostra. This man is an incredible lyricist. He's a Grammy Award winner. He's written TV theme songs. I mean, what do he don't do? You know what I'm saying? This man is an icon. He's a legend. I want you to give it up for the one, the only, Everlast is in the place to be on the People Front.
Yeah!
Yes.
Jump around.
Damn, that was a long list.
You've had a long storied career, brother. Did you know that you had such a storied career?
I know I've done a lot of stuff, but I just kind of live in the moment.
Right. You're in it.
So you see the list. It gets kind of cool.
Yeah, man. It's
Part
great
of
for me
getting old,
to
I guess. You get to see the list.
Right. I mean, and you famously went to high school at Taft.
We shared a high school. We didn't really hang out or nothing, but like, yeah, he was known. It was like, that's the dude who wrote Boys in the Hood. Like when Boys in the Hood was on the radio, it was like, I remember him running around in like at the time it was a hot thing was the Hawaiian suit, the shorts and the shirt and like
short
the
set,
Chinese flip flops.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was the move. Like it was the swap meet fit, but it was the move. Like it was like fly. But I remember that's the kind of shit I remember. But yeah, him being the rap guy. At that time, I wasn't even about music. I was fully immersed in graffiti because Divine Styler was going there also. And like he was sent out from Brooklyn because he got in some trouble or something one summer and wound up going to school there for a little while. So I met him through another friend and then we just connected. But I was fully immersed in graffiti.
I didn't know Divine Styler went to Taft too. I remember when that Ain't Saying
Briefly.
Okay, when the Ain't Saying Nothing video dropped, Scheme Team, I was in New York running with a crew of dancers. So we didn't understand that dance culture and just even the way he was rhyming over that the James Brown sample, the way he was doing it. From the East Coast, all we knew from LA was NWA vibe, Compton's Most Wanted vibe, King T vibe. And so Divine Styler just split my wig. Talk to me about your relationship with him and what he means to hip hop in Los Angeles.
I mean, not just Los Angeles. I mean, he was always an East Coast cat. His style and all, you know, it was reminiscent of everything that was going on in New York. I think he fathered a lot of cat styles. There was no hippie movement looking cats like before the ski team. You know what I mean?
No Far Side, Freestyle Fellowship.
Them two. I'm saying it was both New York and L.A. You know what I mean? But to me, like I said, I was hanging with Devon because he's also an amazing visual artist. Like he was an amazing graffiti style writer.
Right. That Scheme Team logo was like some graffiti shit, right?
Yeah, I think he did everything. He did a lot of the beats that, you know, even though like he shared credit with people, I watched it. You know, I saw a lot of it happen. But like lyrically, he was the illest cat, I think. One of the illest cats ever. You know what I mean? I don't just say that because I consider myself, and back then, I consider myself son of Divine Styler. You know what I mean? That's because we come from an era where that's not a shitty thing to say. You know what
I mean?
It's
You
like,
got sons now. Like when we had Evidence on the show, I asked him where he got his name from. He said, I wanted a name like Everlast.
Yeah, he'd only told me that like 2 years ago. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, man. It's like the first rap I ever said was Syndicate Soldier, he told me. Like at a talent show or something. I don't know exactly where. But I was like, are you kidding me? He was like, nah, I'm dead
We need to
serious.
get Divine Style on here, man.
That's probably easy to do.
Yeah.
He manages my studio, lives in my studio. Like it's a house. It's like a big.
Okay, word up.
But he's available.
Now you joined Ice-T's collective, the Rhyme Syndicate.
Yes.
That seemed like a power move. That was through Divine Styler.
I used to fucking bust raps, like writing graffiti with these cats, like to make fun of your mom or something. You know what I mean? Like they were serious. I was like hanging out and so much, and they were doing the graffiti and the music, and so I again like started like, oh, they were always rapping. So and snapping was a big deal between us back then. So like I would snap on them, but rhyming, and like one day Divine was like, you should write a rhyme, dude. And I would have like a song, friend. And he was like, yeah, like a song. And literally the first song that I ever wrote in my life, this is what do they say nowadays? No cap.
Oh, God.
Right? No fucking lies is Syndication, the first song that got put out. Like I wrote the verses. Like I was supposed to have a partner too, who flaked out. It was supposed to me and this other dude were supposed to like team up and like be a group. And he got scared of the demo process or something.
Wow, people sometimes get scared of success.
It wasn't even about, nobody was making money making rap. This is 88, dog. If you maybe the Fat Boys, LL Cool J, Run
really
DMC,
Ice-T was just starting, right?
Ice was making some bread. He was starting to bubble, like make money. Like he was starting to be a star kind of dude. Like,
who was that? Who was the original Rhyme Syndicate crew?
Well, that would be it for Ice-T to answer because there's a whole crew of dudes
there was a lot of
that weren't even rappers. I mean, he had all his old past buddies from school and whatever gang affiliations and whatnot. But as far as musically, other than what was signed to it, as far as I know, was everything on that compilation. And 783 was affiliated for a little while, but they never really finished the deal, and they went and got their own album deal.
783, right?
Which was Muggs. That's how me and Muggs first became familiar with each other.
That's where I was going with it, because it was interesting. Because that Rhyme Syndicate era, like I said to you earlier, like you were the first person I ever seen with a suit and sneakers on.
They couldn't get me in the shoes. I just wouldn't do it.
G-Eazy is now doing that style.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But you was first with it. What made you make the conscious decision? Because when I listened to Forever Everlasting, you refer to yourself as Caucasian a couple of times on that record.
Yeah. And
then you have these rhymes about that album.
I might even say Grafted White Devil on that record.
Yeah, because you have the kid rapping about the 5% kid.
I had all the Ansar books.
All that shit is on that record.
All the 40 Deuce Ansar books and the 5% math stuff. Clarence 13.
You had some. You was dropping some science. You said that on that. You said on this song.
I'm not dropping science, but I was making cats aware that I was aware of what they were referring to as science.
But then you made a conscious decision to move away from the grafted white devil and whiteness as an identity to Irish as an identity with House of Pain and going from Rhyme Syndicate to Soul Assassin.
I'm about to cop a vacant lot and build a mansion in the ghetto. Yeah, we give back to the people on this side. We don't give a fuck about no Jews, no cars, none of that shit. Them shit's just trophies. But if your people ain't right, you become a plate. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to cop a vacant lot and build a mansion in the ghetto. I'm on shorty dancing, she calling me freco. Pero tú ya lo sabías, mami, muéstrame tu pecho. Jack sitting low, shit looking like a gecko. ¿De qué me puedo quejar? Mi billetera está muy grueso. Monday night I'm on 183rd with 2 lesbos. Me soma la barriga like, ¿qué te pasa, muñeco? By Friday night, I might get bored and fly to Vegas. Have a couple drinks on that plane and send your girlfriend a playlist. Bread ain't been the same since I realized I ain't want no change. Been wanting to send instruments to Colombia for them kids to play with. Bosses thinking philanthropy. My blessings coming substantially. But if I gotta get up out this canopy, you can expect a calamity. Any problem, that's not a problem. Get them hemmed up at the venue. Lord Bobbin with Soul Assassin. Yeah, there's my deck on the menu. I present 2 options like run or get run over. A peace summit when it's over. We getting blunted in the Rover. Type of paper you can't fold up. Yeah, the pockets swole up. Bunch of cheddar, mozzarella, feta, and all this gorgonzola. We gon' be here for many years. When the money's gotten older, we gon' need them new bills. Them Donald Trumps with Corona. Forbidden fruit. Got me seeing all this hidden loot. Vivid loops. Got me hopping out of different coops. Pressure made me better. I detonate whoever. These words in my ledger gon' resonate forever. Forbidden fruit. Got me seeing all this hidden loot. Vivid loops. Got me hopping out of different coops. Pressure made me better. I detonate whoever. These words in my ledger gon' resonate forever.
Tony, deal with it.
It's the 5 fingers of death.
Go easy on them. Nah, don't. DJ Wonder, we gonna play 5 beats. Your old
Impeach the
Drew.
president. Check it out, son. Yo, turn the beat up just a little bit.
Turn them headphones up. There it is.
Okay, you got me.
All right, there
Yo.
it is.
I'm like a mix of Orwell, R.L. Stein, and Dr. Seuss. Got the juice like Quincy, mad vitamin C. I'm on some Prince shit, B. Fuck rap. We transcending over these beats, my man sending. Putting work in at 160 Derrick Street. You little suckers is birds chirping like a parakeet. Derek Jeter don't got more bitches than me. So screw your number, what's your addy? Freak was calling me daddy, shit had me weak. Used to be that beat cat on a Monday cat. Never attended a rap show, I wasn't getting money yet. Don't listen to rap songs I'm not currently working on. Nowadays, Drew has more interest in bluegrass. Bluegrass, you gassing it. Nah, I've been sincere since ears could hear. Get brain from a bitch, see the spit change, switch lanes. Roadhead, cold red, loaded, so dead. Pull over like champion superhood, all black in my hood called Remulac. I sport the cone head without a cross on fire. Why these herbs wait in line for kicks that I wouldn't toss on a wire? Bums see me shining, think I stuck the jeweler. To tell the truth, I'm Rick the Ruler, and you working at crumbs like a Dentine ice package popping off at the gums. I'd rather look broke in the burbs than be fresh in the slums. Professional scumbag, dag, peep the humble brag. If you're smart, you take notes on your Tumblr swag. Check it. Oh, my man gonna play the Alchemist Bangers beat.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, be number 3.
Listen up. Back in the line of fire. Saying my style's dated is like checking to see if wine expired. Salud. Thought of that bar in the car, chefing up in the truck like halal food. Got them raps for you, I ain't talking gyros. Get on the mic and spit that porno for pyros. I'm not concerned with going viral. Knew I'd be the best when Droogs was in recess, throwing spirals. Mad punches, I was throwing spiral notebooks away. Even wrote hooks for you to say. Now look at me today, rockin' Woodstock and Lollapalooza. Get your dollars up, loser. While we worked hard, y'all fought and bickered. Now you broke. I see that malt liquor stain on your Nordica. Need to stop popping junk and pass that Henny. Don't start a debacle over the buckle. Get rocked in your head with it. Then we'll really see a numbskull. Should've tried to be humble. And that spraying it's played to run up on you with a gun cock. I stick safety pins in your face like you punk rock. The kid vicious like Sid. Duking your hot mom till my Johnny get rotten. See it on rotten.com. Only busting these sex pistols from now on. Anarchy and BK, that's all we play. Money stacking like a crip in the blood. All that yakety yakking, you need a nip in the bud. Turn that bass up so they can hear the thud. Last few weeks been dry, so next time it rain, prepare for a flood. Think you can see me, put them bands up. And we your teachers, so before you speak to us, raise your hands up. Who's Droog and honest dude that stand up? Y'all cats funny, need to go and do stand up. Your time on stage should be the only set that you bang. Your so-called gang as phony as it get. And you a puppet like a marionette. You be marrying birds you just met. Very in debt. No 6 beat?
Extra credit. about to say he quick.
I told y'all he quick.
Good looking, bro.
No 6 beats. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Hold on. Let's take a moment.
I'm
to
all right.
marinate. We take a moment to
I'm all
marinate
right.
on that, man.
Mm.